I can remember as a child lots of things that my mother cooked. My mother was a very good cook, a European cook. And even though I grew up in England, she cooked food completely differently than the other food I was eating or my friends were eating. So I remember her making, for some reason, Chinese sweet and sour pork. She made Wiener Schnitzel. She made cakes like Sachertorte. She made Sauerbraten. She made goulash. We always had salad with our meals with vinaigrette. And the book she used was this very copy of The Joy of Cooking, which I still have. As you can see, it's really battered and beaten and missing its cover, missing the index. And this was the first book I ever cooked out of. And that was when I really started to have an inkling about liking cooking. I was about 14 and I made the cheesecake out of here, which has the page marked. And I used to take these to school and sell them to one of my teachers. I was an entrepreneur as well as a foodie. The best way to please and befriend and make other people happy is to feed them. And food is the big equalizer, is the universal connector. Everybody loves food in some shape or form. Everybody's interested in food in some shape or form, and I think that is what got me hooked in the first place. Well, the other thing about food is that every item of food that I come across often has a really interesting story. For example, I walked into the local butcher here where I live in Stratford, and I saw something I'd never seen before, which was a batch of pigtails. And I rarely come across a food I haven't seen before at this point in my life, but when I investigated this, the story was fascinating. How it was a German dish that was a tradition at picnics and gatherings here in this region. It's a regional thing, and there's a special way to cook them, and I came up with the ultimate way. Somebody local somebody led me to somebody who had the ultimate recipe. And I got a huge amount of emails about this column. I think the most exciting thing about food writing and being involved in the food world, I mean, Julia Child said it to me, and she said it very well, I'll never forget. She said, when you're in the food business, you're part of a great big family. And that is so true. I mean, the chefs that I talk to, the home cooks, the celebrities who I interview, who are all passionate about food, we connect on a very, very, very basic level. And then when I write about them in my column, I connect with all the people who read my column. And I get a huge amount of feedback. People stop me on the street. They say, I made that paprikash recipe you had in the paper and I loved it. And what better reward can you have than that? So I'm constantly getting feedback and reward. And what's more, I'm constantly learning because I'm constantly meeting new people in the business. And then I've learned to cook through being a food writer. I'm not a trained chef, but I've practiced and practiced, and I become obsessed with producing good results. And I find that very exciting.